Is the Naples and Southwest Florida real estate market going to crash? In this video, we're going to look at some hard, cold, beautiful data from my local board of realtors right here in Southwest Florida. We're going to look at the numbers and we're going to see what the numbers are telling us, so stay tuned. Guys, as you can see, I'm wearing my red, white, and blue here. It's 4th of July today. I actually wanted to record this video about 2 weeks ago or so, maybe 3 weeks, but I figured I wanted to wait until the June numbers finalized so we can have a better picture of what the market's looking like. About 60 days ago or so, when the market cooled down a little bit here in Southwest Florida, we had a lot of just real estate people, agents, and et cetera, lenders saying, oh my gosh, the interest rates are coming up and things are going to crash, right? So we had a lot of investors and speculators kind of come in and say, yep, everything's going to crash, because guess what? They got money. There's a lot of money in the sideline waiting for some opportunities in our market here. So what I wanted to do is, I didn't want to jump the gun. I wanted to wait until the June numbers closed, because now we have a good picture. We're dead in the middle of the summer here. Maybe next month will be dead middle of the summer, but at any rate, we have some clear data that we're going to look through and see which way we're going, and should you be worried if you're looking to sell or if you're looking to buy, right? Should you wait if you're going to buy for better opportunities, and should you sell right now if you're looking to sell, or should you wait to see what's going to happen? So I'm going to give my opinion based on these numbers, but again, I'm just going to throw the numbers out there and you can make up your mind, but I will state my opinion throughout the video, and but try to give as much fact as I can. Guys, before going any further, I would ask you, if you are enjoying my videos, please make sure to like and subscribe. I'm going to continue bringing you great content. Always leave in the comments below what you think about the video. The last video I did got a lot of comments, a lot of views, and I just love hearing from you guys, just from really all sides of the aisle, right? The people that agree with what I'm saying, some people kind of disagree, some people totally disagree with what I'm saying, and I think that's great. We can have some good, honest conversation about what we think about our market, and about Florida and Naples in general. And I just love hearing from you guys. I've also received quite a few phone calls from some of you guys looking to move down here or looking to sell. This is why I do this, okay? I want you guys to know who I am, how I think, how I operate, how I work. And if you want to work with me, it's a pleasure for me to work with you guys. I love when you guys call me, when you guys text me, when you guys email me. I had a client tell me, hey, make sure you leave your phone number on the screen. So I'm going to leave my phone number on the side of the screen throughout the video, so you guys can pick up your phone and call me at any time if you have any questions. I'm here, I'm available for you guys to help you out in any way I can. All right. So as one of my old bosses used to say, the numbers don't lie. Okay. So I'm going to address a few different statements that I've heard from real estate people and non-real estate people in the last few weeks or months. And we're going to look at data, and we're going to see if those statements are actually true, valid, or invalid. So the first statement I want to address is the market is in a bubble right now, and it's going to crash just like it did at the end of 08, 09. So let's take a look at those numbers. Okay, guys, so the first set of numbers we're going to look at comes straight from the National Association of Realtors, NAR. Okay, so I'm going to tell you the numbers, and we'll talk about it a little bit. I'm going to compare Q1 of year 2021 with Q1 of year 2022 in sales. Okay, this is for Southwest Florida, and then I'm going to give you some specific Naples numbers. So Q1 of 2021, for the entire Southwest Florida, there were 48.3% of the sales were done in cash. By city now, in Naples, 55.5% of all deals, Q1 of 2021, were cash deals. So over half of those deals were done in cash. And then you can see Bonita Springs 56%, Estero 55.7%, Fort Myers 46.1%, and Cape Coral was the most leveraged, so 33.7% of those deals were cash. Okay? Lot and land purchases, over 95% of those deals were in cash. Luxury market, this is astonishing. Luxury market, homes over $1 million, over 73% of those deals were cash. Homes over $2 million, over 87% of those deals were done in cash. Okay? Now let's move on to Q1 of the year 2022. Overall cash sales, this is for the entire Southwest Florida, 53% of those deals were cash. So in its entirety, including Fort Myers, Cape Coral, Bonita, Estero, 53% of those sales were cash deals. Okay? Naples, 62.5%. So this is first quarter of this year. Those numbers are already out, okay? 62.5 of those sales were cash in Naples. In Bonita, 64.5%. Estero, 62.8. Fort Myers, 55. Fort Myers over 50%. Cape Coral, 37.7. So again, the most leveraged city, still nothing bad, okay? 37%. Cash deals, still fantastic. Over $1 million deals, 74.2% cash. Over $2 million deals, 82.6% of those deals were cash. Guys, that's incredible. Okay, so I'm going to tell you a little story right now. Let's put this in the sideline. I'm going to tell you a story. So I've lived on my own since I'm 17 years old. Okay, when I was about, I've done every kind of job in the world. I've worked in Dunkin' Donuts. I've picked up trash. I mean, I've done it all, right? I paid for my school and I worked full time. When I was maybe 21, 22, I got my first real job at Herb Connolly Hyundai and Chevrolet over in Framingham, Mass. Adam Connolly was my boss there, great guy. And, when I got my first job, I was sick of living, in my friends' closets, renting rooms from friends and things like that. So I said, all right, I'm going to buy my first place. And I went to talk to a lender, and the lender, I knew I wanted to buy a little condo. I could afford maybe like $105,000 condo. I had done the numbers, I had enough money to put the down payment there. And I talked to a lender, and the lender goes, Felipe, you are approved to up to $350,000. Maybe you can buy a $400,000 house. And I stopped, and I was like, well, how can I afford? I told the guy, I'm like, I can't even make the down payment on a $350,000 house. I couldn't make my first mortgage payment, let alone a $400,000 home. And he said, well, no, don't worry about it. You just go ahead. We'll apply. We'll figure out a way to get you the money for the down payment. You make your payment for, maybe 4 or 6 months or so. You sell the house, you flip it, and you buy 4 more homes. And at that point, I was like, well, something's wrong, because I know my numbers, I know my finances, right? I know I cannot afford that. Here's 21, 22, 23-year-old me. I was a young, guy. I don't remember exactly, but, I just remember kind of being in shock of what this guy was telling me. And where I'm circling around at this point is that, when somebody makes a statement, hey, we're in the same bubble today as we were in 2008, 2009, when everything blew up. Obviously, throughout the early 2000s, that's when these things were happening, when I was, my early 20s. And my point is this, guys, you cannot compare this market with the early 2000s market, okay? Today, if you don't have, if you're not a qualified buyer, I have, unfortunately, I've worked with several buyers that ended up not qualifying for the house that they wanted. And that's actually a good thing, right? Because if you aren't able to make, to have the funds to be approved for the house and to pay for the house and to maintain your life, you shouldn't be buying the house. And that's happening today very much so. The banks have no problem saying, hey, listen, I'm sorry, Mr. Smith, Mrs. Smith, you do not qualify for this loan, and that's it. Where back in 09s, they were throwing, 22, 23-year-old Felipe $400,000 when he could make a first payment. It was basically a scam, right, in the system. So, I just wanted to kind of do the full circle there and say that statement is just totally false, right? When we look at, my goodness, people are coming down. They're not leveraging stuff. You look at the luxury market, over $1 million, $2 million markets. 70 to 80% cash deals is incredible. Guys, these are real numbers. I'm not making these numbers up. These are real numbers, okay? So let's move on. Statement number 2 that we're going to address today is that the real estate market in Southwest Florida is cooling off like the rest of the country. This statement actually came from another realtor that I was watching on YouTube. I always like to talk to real estate people, non-real estate people. I talk to you guys, clients every single day, and I love it. And everybody has their opinion. And what's been happening is because we've been seeing some homes sit in the market for over a day, like we have been in the last 2 years. People are starting to freak out a little bit and say, oh my gosh, is the market going to crash? Are things cooling off? And that's what obviously made me do this video. So let's address this realtor's comments, which really essentially is, hey, everything is kind of coming to a standstill, and we are just like the rest of the country, right? So if the rest of the country is slowing down, we're slowing down. So let's start by saying the Southwest Florida market, Naples even specifically, is nothing like the rest of the country. We cannot compare our little micro niche market with the rest of the country. Okay, it's just a false statement to compare, to look at numbers elsewhere and compare them to Florida. You just can't do that. I mean, even Southwest Florida to Orlando, Florida, those are different markets. Like Orlando has a lot of people traveling daily from all over the world to go to Disney World or Universal. So Florida's got these little micro niche markets, and I want to talk to you guys today, obviously, about Southwest Florida. So a few things that separates us, right, is going to be, one, we are very, as you can see, there's a lot of wealth being poured into the Naples market. And I'm gonna show you some other numbers in a minute here that you're gonna be astonished about. But we just looked at the fact that over 80% of $2 million plus deals were cash, over 3% were of $1 million, and just in general, over half of those deals, 55% of those deals are cash. Okay, so there's a lot of wealth being poured into Naples. This is a retirement hotspot. Okay, we talked about in my last video. Our median age here, even though there are a lot of younger people, but our median age is 65 years old, 65.4 years old. So we have a lot of retirement. The retirement crowd is here, and they've, you guys, I'm sure most of you guys I'm talking to right now have worked your whole lives, and you're able to save up, make the right financial decisions so you can retire in Naples or Southwest Florida, right? Fort Myers, Cape Coral, doesn't matter. Bonita, Estero, you're able to retire here. So that's something that separates us from the rest of the country. We are a very heavy snowbird market, so we're actually kind of opposite of the rest of the country in a way where when the market is really hot in other markets, right? So for example, if you're in the Midwest, in the Northeast, different parts of the country, I've had people from different parts of the world, which I don't know about their markets, people from, Dubai and Europe contact me, and I don't know their markets. I'm not gonna, or your markets if you're watching, I'm not gonna pretend that I do. But when it comes to the United States, when it's really, really nice and beautiful up north, right, spring, summer, that's when the real estate deals are happening up there. And down here, it's super hot. Most of the snowbirds are back up north. So our market just normally slows down during this time of the year, which I'm going to show you guys the numbers in a minute. Let's not compare the Southwest Florida market with the rest of the country. That's really not accurate. Let's never do that. And let's just look at our market as it goes and follow our data to make the right decision of when is a good time to buy, when is a good time to sell. And another thing is, listen guys, deals are happening every single day, right? No matter what you think or what I think, when I pull up my MLS, there's deals after deals after deals happening every day. People are always going to be buying, selling. So we want to see what's the favorable market right now. So now you're saying, Felipe, prove it. You've been talking a lot. All right, let's prove it. So the first number I want to look at on my lovely little iPad here with you guys is going to be dollar volume. Okay, so what dollar volume means is literally everything that got sold added up. So I'll give you an example. Let's say I sold a house last Friday for $500,000, then I'll sell another house this Friday for $500,000, and then the following Friday I sell a house for $1 million. So we have 500,000 plus 500 plus $1 million. So the total volume of sales I just did is $2 million, right? So what we're going to look at here is basically, let's look at how much dollars we've been selling in Naples and Southwest Florida. Let's start looking at those numbers, okay? Here's what we're going to look at. I'm going to kind of explain this map a little bit first, and then we'll dive into the numbers. So at the upper left here, we have the blue, which is Naples, right, which is going to be the blue line. Bonita Springs and Estero is going to be our orange line. Fort Myers is going to be your green line, and Cape Coral is going to be the gray line. Okay, so this right now, this is showing I'm looking at all price ranges, all property types, all construction types, all sizes, all bedrooms. So I'm looking at the overall picture of the market. Okay, I'm not picking and choosing a certain price point. This is a median of everything. All right. This is just an interesting number to look at. I mean, we can look at it right now. So this is a sales price. So if you look at the bottom, these are the categories we're going to look at in a moment. So the sales price median, right? So we're going to go back We're in 3 years right now. I want to do a full maximum range so we can look at the overall picture since the year of 2009, what our market looked like. Okay, so in 2009, let's say March of 09, you can see the Naples median price was $168,000, and then you fast forward to today, which is June 2022, which was obviously data from last month. We're looking at $610,000 median price for Naples. And then, obviously follow the numbers there. Bonita Springs, Estero 550, Fort Myers 380, Cape Coral 430. Okay. So like I said, the first data I want to look at with you guys is dollar volume. Okay. All right. So this is going to start painting a picture of what Naples and Southwest Florida really is. All right. So the first thing you're going to notice is a bunch of peaks and valleys, right? And if you want to guess with me, where are the peaks? Well, let's take a look. Let's see, April, right? End of season. So again, our season, like I said, January through March is the very heavy, but really October to maybe May or so, April, May is really season here. So that's our busiest time of the year, right? So right here, so we peaked in April at 377,399,000. That's the volume. Again, that's the number I was talking about earlier. All sales combined. And then the valleys, let's guess, middle of the summer, September, October, right? Let's look at another peak here. March, April, May. Then let's look over here, May. End of season, right? Let's look at here, April, May. That's the culmination. People are here, they're looking to buy homes, they start getting under contract February, March, and then they're all closing by this time. Now they got their homes, they're going back up north, and then next season they have a house to enjoy. So look at that, cyclical, same thing. April, May, most amount of volume. So now let's fast forward to now, which is what we want to look at, right? So 2020 is kind of when everything started with COVID and people being able to work remotely and move. Okay, so check these numbers out, guys. So as you can see, usually, 714 million peak, 2019, 792 million peak. And then we go to March of 2020, 507,946,000 in sales. This is where it gets crazy now, guys. Look at these numbers, okay? So right here in December of 2020, we broke $1 billion in 1 month in sales in Naples. I mean, look at how Naples compares to Bonita Springs, Estero, Fort Myers, and Cape Coral. I mean, guys, that's incredible. In 1 month, $1,183,503,000 in sales. And then we go to March of 2021, $1,586,098,192. Guys, that's Naples flexing. That's Naples putting their muscles out and going, try me, okay? Now, if you remember, over 55% of those sales were in cash. And of those sales, I guarantee you there's a lot of $1 million plus sales in there. And guess what? 1 million plus, over 73%. 2 million plus, over 83% of those sales were cash. Not only is there a ginormous amount of money in closings that we did, these are mostly cash deals. So keep that in mind when you're talking about a market crash. Okay, I won't say anything else, just look at the numbers. So then, because those numbers were so incredible, we have a huge swing, back in the summer, October. So, we have the summer months, we're slower. And still, even at the very slow October, we still have $658 million in sales, all right? And then, we go up again, December, we break the billion again. I mean, here's the, the $1 billion mark right here. We break the billion again, and then boom, March, April, May, 1.4 billion, 1.4 billion. I mean, that's incredible. That's incredible numbers. Just look at how it compares to the rest of Southwest Florida. This in itself just shows you guys, I think one of my commenters on my last YouTube video said it would take the actual crash of the dollar for the Naples market to crash. Looking at these numbers, he may have a point. All right, we're going to look at some more data here, but these are incredible numbers. Just think about if you're pouring that much cash into a market, right? Into Homestead or whatever you're doing, what incentive do you have to sell for a loss? I mean, I wouldn't sell for a loss unless there's an actual crash of the dollar, and I would have to sell for a loss in order to cover other expenses. Otherwise, you're crazy to sell at this point. And I mean, guys, May 2022, the interest rates were already high, okay? We're talking already high interest rates, and let's look at the rest of Southwest Florida. I'm talking about Naples because it's just so incredible, but the rest of Southwest Florida looks amazing too. I mean, Bonita Springs, Estero, 288 million. Fort Myers, 343 million. Cape Coral, 385 million. That's a lot of sales, guys. That's a lot of sales, okay? A lot of sales. Before we look at some of the other numbers, so let's talk about this, right? And this is a real talk moment. I know you guys are probably smarter than I am, so what I'm going to say will make sense, which is if anybody in their right minds thinks that what we've experienced the last 2 years is sustainable, you put a house in the market today. I mean, I'll put a listing today, and tomorrow I'd have 16 showings, 10 offers. That's not sustainable, guys. For long-term longevity, it's not healthy. It's not sustainable. It's not going to be sustainable, right? So we need to recalibrate the way we think, and I know a lot of the realtors, somebody that's been doing it for maybe a year, they caught the market, they've been a realtor for 6 months, a year, they caught the market and the craziness. They think that's the norm. That's not the norm anywhere. I mean, I don't care where you live. It's just not the norm, especially for, I'm talking about Southwest Florida. I mean, that's not sustainable. So I think what's been triggering a lot of the real estate people is when you see the interest rates rise, a lot of people get priced out of the market. And just because you put a listing, I have a couple listings that have been sitting, 2 weeks, 3 weeks, and that's healthy, right? We're going to look at the numbers in a minute here to talk about that. But before we dive into numbers, I wanted to talk about that really quickly. That let's just be real. You can't sustain that craziness over a long period of time. So what we're seeing here is not unhealthy. So the next few numbers we're going to look at is going to be how many days a home has been sitting in the market. So we're going to look at days on the market before it goes under contract. We're going to look at the number of pending sales, which means once a house gets under contract, right? When an offer is accepted on a house, how many of those, what's happening right now? Is the pending sales numbers going really, really down, or are they going up? And the closed sales, obviously, hey, how many homes are we closing? So let's look at those numbers next, okay? So days on the market is the first thing we want to look at right here. Okay, so again, keep in mind we're going back to 2009. So let's look at what the norm was between 2009 and 2014 or so. Those houses were sitting, let's just talk about Naples to keep it simple. 114 days in the market. This is average. Okay, excuse me, this is median time. It's not a true average. 124 days, 116 days, 104 days. So let's say between 115 and 130 days in the market. And then came 2014, those numbers kind of dropped, and they oscillated between 45, 46, 50, 34. So during season time, a little lower time on the market, but so let's say between 40 and 50 days on the market. And then between 2017 and 2020 or so, homes are in the market for about 45 days. So if you're listing a home in the market at that period, you would expect your home to be in the market between 1 and 2 months, right? 45 days. Okay. So now, before we got under contract to sell it. Now let's look at 2020, 2021. All of a sudden, boom, we dropped 7 days in the market, 8 days in the market, 9, 7. See, January 2022, 7 days in the market. March, 5 days in the market. April, May 2022, 7 days in the market. Let's look at June, 8 days in the market. That's absurd. I mean, this is telling you that people are still scooping up these homes like crazy. Okay, so our average days on market, only 8 days. That's like borderline unhealthy. I mean, that means, the median that a house is sitting, if you list it today, is 8 days in the market. Even right now, I mean, we're going to summer, in the middle of the summer. So, this number is obviously not a true representation of everything, because there are more homes sitting in the market. So that as we go into season a little more towards the end of the year, we're going to see that number rise. Okay, so this number is going to rise. But still, guys, I mean, it's still a very good number to look at. This gives us a pretty good idea of how many days those homes are sitting in the market before they got scooped up, right? So the next thing we're going to look at was going to be, let's see, pending sales. Okay. Once again, peaks and valleys. Well, let's take a guess. Peak, March, right? Middle of the season. Valley, August, September, November. And again, you're going to find it over and over. You know, peak March, okay? So let's look at our numbers now from 2020 to now. So we have an absurd amount of homes just, you know, going pending under contract. As we know, this is when Naples made those, you know, had those crazy sale numbers. So we had 1,983 homes going pending. I mean, that's just wiping out our inventory, right? The more homes we're selling, and we're going to look at how many new listings we get, you're going to find out, well, guess what? That's our inventory just taking a dive and going away. So let's see here, February of 2022, 1,281 homes going pending. So now let's go to the numbers now. That's where people are starting to freak out, right? April 2022, 1,100 homes pending. May, 875. In June, which is just last month, 725 homes. So when we look at an average here, guys, there's really nothing to see that's alarming, right? So the people that are freaking out, I don't know why they're freaking out, because the numbers look pretty much in line, right, throughout in the off season. Right there, we are at a 468 homes historically, 582 homes, you know, 596 homes, and now we are at 725 homes. So we're actually above. So next month, you know, I can almost guarantee you when you look at the August numbers and September numbers, that's going to go down a little bit more, and it's okay, right? It's okay that this goes down a little bit more, because next season, guess what's going to happen? These numbers are going to peak again, okay? So nothing showing us so far market's crashing. Let's look at closed sales. Again, very healthy numbers. I'm not going to beat a dead horse here, right? But we're seeing the same patterns throughout, guys. We're seeing peaks and valleys. Peaks right here. Let's look at this peak right here. April, middle of the season, okay? April, middle of the season, and then this insane, again, you know, your March, April 2021, which is absurd. Bunch of closed sales there, obviously. But right now, right, we looking at 891 closed sales for June. That's pretty darn good. I mean, we're still above. If you look at the valleys elsewhere, we're still well above it, right? So let's look, for example, so let's look at June here. 906 homes in 2019. Let's look at June 2020, 882 homes. And let's look at June of 2020, 1,145 homes. And right now we're at 891 homes. Closed deals. So I'm not seeing anything telling me, I mean, unless you guys are looking at different data than I am, nothing showing me that we're headed towards a crash. All right, so now I'm just going to kind of swipe through some numbers. We're going to have some conversations about it. So we already looked briefly at sales price. The sales prices obviously have, you know, exponentially gone up since 2020. And the question is, can these prices stay up here? We're going to talk a little bit more about this at the end of the video, what I think. And I won't go there yet, so we'll talk about that in a minute. But just be aware that, I mean, this is incredible, this exponential rise here. Okay. New listings. So this is an interesting number to look at. This is a very good number to look at. As you can see, once again, guys, peaks and valleys. Peak January. These are going to be mostly January, the new listings, right? Because historically in our market, people wait for January to list their homes. They know everybody's down here, so they prepare, you know, they'll come in October, November, they'll clean out their houses, get everything ready, and in January, boom, we bump the market with homes. And this is true throughout. Look, January, I never have to look at it. I know January, boom, January, okay? So the peaks are always going to be January. So let's look at it right now. If you look at this, guys, actually the amount of homes, you know, which obviously goes hand in hand with our shortage of inventory right now, is because we would like to see, in order for this number to be balanced in 2020 and 2021, we would love for a really spiked January and February so we could keep up with the demand As you saw, we closed 1 billion, 1.4 billion in homes, 1.5 billion in homes in volume. So when you're closing all these homes, 1,800 homes, I think, when you're closing all these houses, well, guess what? I mean, you want to make sure that you have more houses coming in the market, which we don't. We're going to look at that in a moment. So again, nothing abnormal. We're just in June, 1,115 new listings. That's very good compared to what we've been having. You know, look here, we've had, 900 homes, 800 homes, 1,000 homes. So we got some homes coming in the market. And cyclically, if you're just looking at the chart, nothing to see here, right? We know that when July's numbers closes and in August, September numbers closes, that's going to go down a little more. We're going to expect this to go down, okay? So new listings are going to go down. There's a reason for that. Well, I'll just talk about it right now. I actually took a call from somebody yesterday who's looking to sell their condo in Stony Brook in Estero. And he asked me, he said, I want to maximize my dollar. I don't need to sell right away. Felipe, what do you recommend I do? And what I told him, I said, well, it's pretty simple. Let's wait a little bit. Let's not list right now, right? As you can see, the demand right now, historically, is not the highest. It's the middle of the season. Let's wait until we get closer to season time. So I'm going to look at his condo this week. We're going to get it ready. We're going to get it prepped up. And when the right time comes, we're going to put it in the market, and he's going to get the most dollar, most value for his money. So some agents would have probably said, oh, let's list right now, right? Because they just want to list something and put it on the market. But that's not the right thing to do for that specific client, right? Every client is different. Now, I put a horse farm in Alva for sale, I think a week and a half, 2 weeks ago. And the reason we did that is because I explained to her, I said, listen, we're going into off season. The market is softening, which we're seeing right now. It's not because it's going to crash, in my opinion, right? It's because the market is softening. Historically, every summer, every off season it does. But she said, nope, we got to put it in the market. We're moving. We got to sell it. We need the funds to pay for our, a new place out of state. Long story short, guys, this is it right here. If you want to maximize your dollar, hint, hint, whether you work with me or not, that's fine. I would not list my home right at this moment if you want to maximize the dollar. And my camera actually died right now, so I'm going to pick up where I left off. Okay, so now we're going to look at homes for sale, right? So historically, Naples right here, in August 2018, 5,377 homes. And then February 2019, 7,000 homes, right? So we're kind of between 6,000, 7,000, 8,000 homes for sale, where now, right, it went down to 1,200 homes for sale and 2,135 homes. So what this is really telling us is just how many homes are literally available for sale in the market, okay? Now, the interesting number is going to come right now, the interesting data, which is month supply. So if you see the graph, right, the graph looks pretty much the same. But instead of looking at the number of homes, we're looking at how many months of inventory we have. This is a very, very important number. So typically 6 months right here, 6 months of inventory is a very well-balanced market, okay? So that's what we want to see. That means the sellers don't really have the upper hand, the buyers don't really have the upper hand. We can, come into some terms negotiating deals. 6 months of inventory is, healthy. Naples historically, let's look at the year 2017. We have, 9.5 months of inventory, 7 months of inventory right here. That's a lot of inventory there. In February 2019, 9.5 months of inventory. What is that telling us? Well, pretty simple. What that's telling us is it's a buyer's market, right? There's more homes than demand. The buyers can actually, there was actually a story where a builder ended up upgrading a client. They gave him a pool. They wanted to close the contract, but they're kind of iffy, and they ended up giving him a free pool to sign the contract, which today that is unfathomable. So fast forward to today, right? Look at our lowest 1.1 months of inventory in January 2022. What do we have here? June 2022, we have 2.2 months of inventory. This is right now. This is real hard data, okay? Still very much a seller's market. Doesn't matter how we slice it, how we look at it, what we think about it. This is telling us, guys, this is still a seller's market, okay? We're in the summer. There's some negotiating opportunities. You know, if somebody really wants to sell a property, sitting for 30, 45 days, yeah, maybe we can negotiate a little bit, sure. But don't misunderstand, don't make a mistake that this is a buyer's market. It's not a buyer's market. It's a seller's market. Inventory, right here, these are numbers, 2.2 months of inventory, still very low, all right? Some other information here, I'm just gonna kind of run through quickly because it's really not that important. You know, price per square feet, you know, obviously we know it's exponential. You know, right now we're at what, $283 per square feet. Obviously the price of homes skyrocket, price per square feet skyrocket. Dollar volume we already looked at. How many shows to pending, shows per listing. That's really, you know, I guess shows per listing would be interesting because what this is telling us here, let's go to shows to pending. So right now, let's talk about Naples. 8 showings until a property goes pending. Right now, this is for June. This is the latest data we have, where over back here, we had about, let's see at the peak, right? 12 showings before property goes pending. All that's saying is that yes, the amount of demand, the amount of people looking at a property before it gets under contract is smaller, right? Because we know there's not as many people here. People are not vacationing. People are not hanging out here as much. They're still here, but they're not hanging out here as much. So we know that the demand went down a little bit. Really nothing to be alarmed about that I see here. I mean, let's look at some low numbers. We have 7 showings still pending here, 10 showings still pending. I mean, you know, it's really not anything indicating that we have some kind of apocalypse in our hands. Shows per listing obviously also went down, and it's still going to go down. So right now we have 4.9 showings per listing, and that number, as we dive into the summer a little more, is going to continue going down. Okay, no problem. Okay, so let's talk about my opinion. What I think is that this market has been undervalued for a very long time. Compare Naples historically to New York, New Jersey, you know, let's say New England, Midwest, California. It's just, I mean, it's been a bargain. It's always been a bargain to move down here. And with COVID, people being able to work remotely, just accelerated. You know, maybe a lot of people ended up retiring early or whatever, right? Whatever happened in COVID, that we got such high demand. I think people across the country started finding out about Naples, taking really interest, and people want to be here. I mean, that's just the skinny of it. You can't slice it any other way. As we discussed in my last video, not everybody wants to be here. We can see a lot of comments, right, in my comment section there, that a lot of people are pretty upset as to the direction Naples is going, but that's life, right? I mean, I'm from a fairly small town in Massachusetts, Shrewsbury, Mass, but you know, Worcester County, Worcester, Mass is changing drastically. I mean, when I go back every couple of years or so, I barely recognize some of the places. You know, a lot of new restaurants, new construction, and that's what it is. Dynamically, cities change. Naples is changing. We're having a transition period. Some of the old people that are used to the very quiet, you know, quaint life, they're moving to the Carolinas or whatever, and you know, that's fine. That creates new listing opportunity for people that want to be in Naples or Southwest Florida to move in. That's the cycle of life, right? That's the circle. I mean, there's nothing we can do about that. But generally speaking, as you can see, the demand is off the charts for Naples. People are putting their hard-earned dollars in cash into real estate here. That's a fact. We just looked at that. And that's my take. I think that if we look at this chart here going forward, guys, what we're going to see is a balancing, and we're probably going to see, you know, the chart staying up here. I do not see the crash, the drop that some people are foreseeing. I see just the prices, you know, the median is 610,000. Maybe it's going to fluctuate from, you know, 590, 580 to 640, 650. It's going to fluctuate for a while until the next thing happens, whether we, you know, keep going up or maybe go down a little bit down the road. We don't know, right? Another quick point I want to make too is that for the past 2 years, we've seen a 48%, this is Southwest Florida wide, about a 48% year over year increase in real estate prices, right? So let's just round it up, okay? Let's just say 50%. So you got technically 100%, you know, valuation increase over 2 years. If a stock crashes, you know, 30 to 35%, that's considered a crash, okay? So let's say, you know, for our hypothesis here is, you know, the real estate market crashes for 30 to 35%. Is that really a crash? I mean, you're still talking a 65, you know, 70, 65% valuation over 2 years. So even a 30 to 35% decrease in value is still really not technically a crash, because just in a 2-year period, we've gained 100%. So I want to make sure you guys keep that in mind as well. And I don't see that happening. I mean, you know, we're looking at data here that doesn't show that to be the case, that we're going to have a crazy crash in prices. But if somebody bought at the very top and there was a 30% decline in price, they'd be pretty darn upset. But when you look at the long game, right, if you look at Florida as a stock, right, stock SWFL, you know, the company is Florida, right? If you're betting on that stock, I think you're betting on a pretty good stock. Even if you do see the prices go down, eventually we can pretty much know that they're going to climb up, because we have some pretty valuable amenities, to say, I guess, to use a good word, pretty valuable things to offer. Everything indicates that there's no market crash coming, okay? Again, my opinion, don't shoot me. I'm just evaluating the data and having discussion with you guys. That's how I see it. Naples, you know, we just have a lot to offer. Even though we're getting pretty large, I guess you could say, we're getting bigger, we're still very small population-wise and condense-wise, you know, compared to the East Coast. Really, that's it. We've been undervalued for a long time, and the prices are catching up. I have some clients still say that they still think overall, you know, they're not paying what they want to pay, but overall the value is still good here, and that's just the reality of it. You know, and if you disagree with me, what I'll tell you is what Charlie Munger used to say to Warren Buffett when they had a disagreement. Eventually you're going to agree with me because I'm right and you're smart. That's a joke, guys, but I'll see you in the next video.